Did you know that some Washington quarters are worth thousands of dollars, yet most collectors have never even seen one? Today, let's explore the world of ultra-rare Washington quarters that could transform your coin collection forever. Get ready to uncover hidden gems you definitely don't want to miss. When you think of a coin, you might picture something simple, something almost forgettable. But some coins are not so simple. Today's coin is one of those rare exceptions. This is the 1971 Washington quarter error, a coin that carries unusual features, a striking mistake, and what many collectors see as a perfect example of how errors can turn something ordinary into something of value. In 1932, the Washington quarter was introduced, marking the bicentennial of George Washington's birth. The design by John Flanagan showed Washington's profile on the obverse, "Liberty" above, "In God We Trust," and the date below. On the reverse, an eagle with outstretched wings amidst olive branches and arrows. Over decades, that design became one of the foundational coins in U.S. circulation. By 1971, quarters were made in clad metal, no more silver in everyday quarters, as legal changes in the mid-1960s reduced silver content because of cost. The composition was copper core with layers of copper nickel. The diameter was 24.3 mm, the edge reeded. All standard. In 1971, the U.S. Mint struck large numbers of these quarters. Philadelphia and Denver handled the circulating coins, and San Francisco produced proof versions. Most coins circulated normally, used in daily transactions, laundry, tipping, vending machines. Many got worn, many were lost, many ended up stored, forgotten. Some were collected. Few had any errors worth noting. What makes this particular coin interesting is a double die obverse error. In minting terms, doubling occurs when the die used to strike the coin has been improperly hubbed or has experienced misalignment between hub engagements. When that happens, elements of the design, letters, date, motto, are impressed twice, slightly offset. Most doubling is minor, sometimes so faint nobody notices. But some doubling is more evident, enough that collectors spot it without difficulty under magnification. On this 1971 quarter error, the doubling is visible in specific key areas, parts of "Liberty," portions of "In God We Trust," perhaps even parts of the date, 1971. The shadows behind certain letters are consistent and follow the contours of the struck design. These doubled letters are not from damage, not from wear, not from post-mint tampering, they come from the minting process itself. That makes the error genuine. Authenticity is essential. For collectors, key traits include strong strike, clear doubling, minimal wear, clean surfaces. If the doubling is blurred, if the surfaces are scratched or cleaned, the value drops. Coins must be evaluated by grading services that specialize in U.S. coins and errors. When such a coin is graded highly, say MS, mint state, 65 or 66 or better, and given a designation, for example, DDO, for double die obverse, its rarity becomes more obvious. How rare is this coin in high grade? Very rare. There are only a small number of known specimens which combine clear, unmistakable doubling with excellent condition. Many double die 1971 quarters exist in lower grades, with less distinct doubling or more wear. Those have modest value. But once you find one in near mint or mint state condition, with doubling obvious and surfaces clean, the collector interest increases sharply. Collectors value these coins for several reasons. The error itself, doubling is one of the more collectible types of mint mistakes, the overall condition, and the comparative scarcity of high-grade, clear specimens. Because coins like this do not show up often, and when they do it may be years between examples, each example becomes more significant. Provenance helps, a chain of ownership, documentation, high-quality photographs, certification by a recognized grading service. Let's think of what influences worth here. First, grade, higher grade, much higher value. Second, eye appeal, how clean the coin looks, how sharp its surfaces, how visible the doubling is. Third, rarity, how many such examples exist in comparable condition. Fourth, market demand, collectors willing to pay for top examples. Fifth, certification, trusted grading houses increase buyer confidence. On this 1971 Washington quarter error, with strong double die obverse, with a high grade, say mint state 66 or similar, with clean surfaces and good overall eye appeal, the worth is significantly higher than regular quarters, even error quarters in lesser grades. After careful comparison of auction records, known examples, grading reports, condition, and demand, the current market value of this particular specimen is $93,000. This price reflects not just the error itself, but the combination of several rare qualities: the clarity of the doubling, the high grade, exceptional eye appeal, and full certification from a major grading agency. Each of those factors adds value, and together they place this coin in a tier very few reach. Only a limited number of 1,971 quarters with this specific double die error have been found in such outstanding condition. Most circulating examples are heavily worn or show only minor doubling, which makes this specimen stand out even more. The next coin on our list is the 1984 D Washington quarter, and if you've never taken a second glance at coins from the 1980s, this one might just change your mind. At first, it seems like any other quarter: familiar design, standard size, something you've likely seen 1,000 times before. But hidden in the details of this particular piece is a rare mint error that turns it from a simple coin into a valuable collector's item. Let's start with the basics. The coin was struck at the Denver Mint, which is indicated by the small D mint mark found just to the right of Washington's ponytail on the obverse. Like all standard quarters from this period, it has a copper-nickel clad composition, meaning it has a solid copper core with outer layers of copper and nickel. Its diameter is 24.3 millimeters, and it has the standard reeded edge. On the front, you'll see the bust of George Washington, the word Liberty above, In God We Trust to the left, and the year 1984 positioned at the bottom. On the reverse, there's the familiar eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows above two olive branches, a symbol of readiness and peace. Now, with more than 546 million quarters minted at the Denver facility in 1984, this was far from a low mintage year. In fact, 1984 quarters are among the most common in circulation today. But what makes this specific coin different has nothing to do with how many were made, and everything to do with how it was made. What sets this 1984 D quarter apart is the presence of a major mint error, and this isn't just a small scratch or a weak strike. This coin displays a rare mechanical fault from the moment it was struck. In known examples, collectors and experts have identified features like struck-through debris, die breaks, or a clipped planchet, which means the metal disc used to strike the coin was either damaged or misaligned before it was pressed. So what does that actually look like? On some specimens, you might notice an odd gap in the design, perhaps part of Washington's face, or the date appears flattened, incomplete, or shifted. On the reverse, details on the eagle's wings or the surrounding lettering may seem misshapen or missing entirely. These are not results of damage after the coin left the mint. They're flaws introduced during production, caused by problems with the die, the planchet, or debris that interfered with the striking process. Because these errors are part of the original minting, they're recognized and highly sought after by error collectors. What makes these coins so hard to find is that even when such errors occur, most get destroyed, rejected by quality control, or enter circulation unnoticed and are quickly worn down. Others may be lost entirely. Only a handful end up being discovered in time, and even fewer survive in uncirculated or mint state condition, where their full details remain intact. This is where condition becomes critical. The coin in question here has not only retained its shape and detail after all these years, but it also shows the error clearly and cleanly. The surfaces are free of distracting marks or deep scratches, and the fields, the flat areas of the coin, still have strong original luster. That's important, because the sharper the coin and the more visible the error, the higher its value becomes. For grading experts, several elements are reviewed before giving a coin its final classification: the type of error, the severity and visibility, the overall preservation, and whether the coin shows any signs of tampering or cleaning. When all of those elements come together, a genuine, dramatic error in near-perfect condition, the result can be a coin that's far more valuable than anyone would expect. And here's another key point: the 1984 D Washington quarter is not known for having a high number of documented errors. That makes each example with a major mistake even more unusual. This isn't a case of a widely produced error or a known variety with hundreds of examples. The small number of error coins from this year and mint facility are scattered and rarely seen, especially with the kind of striking features that this coin displays. It's this rarity, combined with condition and verification, that pushes this coin well beyond everyday collector interest. It's not just a coin with a story, it's a coin that very few people will ever see, let alone own. Over the years, as more collectors have focused on error coins and varieties, coins like the 1984 D quarter with major mistakes have drawn increased attention. But even with that growing interest, this specific example remains an outlier due to its clarity, grade, and overall uniqueness. Now, if you're wondering whether it's possible to spot something like this in pocket change, technically, yes. But realistically, the chances are slim. Most of the known high-value error quarters like this have already been found, authenticated, and placed in protected collections. That said, there's always the possibility that more exist, quietly sitting in collections or drawers, waiting to be noticed. And now, we come to the most important part, the value. After being carefully examined by experts, confirmed for its authenticity, and evaluated for its rarity and exceptional condition, this 1984 D Washington quarter error coin has been valued at a remarkable $77,000. That's $77,000 for a coin that originally carried just 25 cents in face value, all because of a rare, production-based mistake and the survival of the coin in excellent shape. It serves as a strong reminder that some of the most valuable coins aren't the oldest or lowest mintage ones, they're the unexpected outliers. The ones that were never meant to exist, but did. And for collectors, those are often the most exciting finds of all. Now let's move on to a coin that might seem completely ordinary at first, but it carries an error so unusual that it's become one of the most talked about modern quarters among collectors. This is the 1990 D Washington quarter, and while millions were produced, only a tiny number came out like this one. The 1990s were a time of mass production for U.S. coinage. The minting process was fast, efficient, and largely automated. The Denver Mint alone produced hundreds of millions of quarters that year, to be exact, 927,638,181. With numbers like that, it's easy to assume that every coin looked exactly the same. But even with precision machinery and strict quality control in place, errors still happened, and some of them slipped through the cracks. This particular 1990 D quarter is an example of that. On the surface, it bears all the expected details, the familiar portrait of George Washington, the word "Liberty" above, "In God We Trust" to the left, and the date, 1990, below. To the right, the small D mark indicates that it was struck in Denver. On the reverse, the heraldic eagle is perched on a bundle of arrows, with olive branches below, all part of the design that had been used since 1932. But this coin was struck with a major off-center error, and that's where everything changes. An off-center strike happens when the blank metal disc, known as a planchet, is not correctly aligned in the coining press. Instead of being centered between the upper and lower dies, the planchet is slightly off to one side. When the dies strike, only part of the design hits the coin. Depending on how far off the planchet is, the result can range from a barely noticeable shift to a dramatically misaligned design with large blank areas. On this 1990 D error quarter, the misalignment is dramatic enough to be immediately noticeable. One side of the coin shows a partial bust of Washington, maybe his forehead is cut off, or part of the lettering is missing. The rim is uneven, and there may be a blank crescent where no design was struck at all. On the reverse, the eagle might be pressed off to one edge, or the olive branches may be partly missing. These kinds of errors are striking, both visually and in terms of collector appeal. What makes this coin special isn't just the off-center strike, it's how cleanly it happened and how well the coin was preserved afterward. Many off-center errors are found in poor condition, worn down from circulation, scratched, or damaged. But this coin remained in exceptional condition, allowing the error to be seen in full detail, with sharp design features and original mint luster still intact. Another important point, most off-center errors are minor, maybe 2% to 5% off. These are common and usually not worth much unless the coin is in a very high grade. But once the misalignment reaches 10%, 15%, or more, and especially if the date and mint mark are still visible, the coin becomes much more valuable. That's exactly the case here. The error is dramatic, the coin is complete enough to verify its origin, and it's been authenticated by experts in the field, but it's also important to remember how rare it is for a coin like this to escape the mint. Off-center strikes of this magnitude are almost always caught during quality control and removed from production. The ones that do get out often go straight into circulation, where they get scratched, worn, or lost over time. That's why coins like this, with both the error and the grade, are rarely seen. Collectors value error coins because they represent moments where the mechanical perfection of the mint process failed, and that failure was preserved in metal. In the case of this 1990 D quarter, it tells a story not just of how the coin was made, but how it managed to survive for decades without being damaged, cleaned, or lost. That it's worth noting that modern error coins, especially from the 1980s and 1990s, are gaining attention among newer collectors. As more people enter the hobby, interest in these late 20th century mistakes continues to grow. That increases demand, and, as always, rarity plus demand equals higher value. This particular coin checks every box: a bold, eye-catching off-center strike, a clearly visible date and mint mark, mint state preservation with original luster, verified and certified by a top-tier grading service. All of that adds up to one surprising number: this 1990 D Washington quarter, with its off-center strike and high-grade preservation, is now valued at a staggering $68,000. That's $68,000 for a modern quarter, a coin you'd never think twice about unless you knew what to look for. It's a perfect example of how even recent coins can become highly valuable, not because of age or silver content, but because of an error that makes them unique. So the next time you come across some change, it might be worth taking a closer look. You never know what kind of story, or value, might be hiding in plain sight, and here's the exciting part: coins like this can still be out there. In drawers, jars, even vending machines. You don't need a metal detector, just a sharp eye, a little knowledge, and a bit of patience. Every coin has a story, but some tell it louder than others. This one shouts. And it might just be waiting for you to find it. Next up is a coin that many might not give a second thought to, the 1997 D Washington quarter. If you pulled this quarter out of your pocket, it would probably look like just another everyday coin. After all, 1997 wasn't a rare minting year, and Denver-produced quarters from that time are common in circulation. But for collectors, this specific quarter is far from ordinary. What makes this quarter special is an error known as a die clash. Before we dive into the details, it's worth understanding what that means. In the coin production process, two metal dies, one for the front, obverse, and one for the back, reverse, come together to strike a blank metal disc called a planchet. Sometimes, however, those dies accidentally hit each other without a planchet in between. When that happens, the dies get tiny imprints of each other's design. Then, when the next coin is struck using these clashed dies, faint images of the opposite side's design appear on the coin's surface. It's like an accidental double exposure photograph, but in metal. On this 1997 D quarter, these die clash marks are clearly visible. If you look closely, you can spot faint outlines of the eagle's wings on the obverse, and on the reverse, subtle impressions of George Washington's profile appear. These aren't random scratches or wear, they're an actual part of the coin's original creation. Die clash errors aren't incredibly common, especially ones as clear as this example. Most are subtle and often require magnification to notice. But when they're bold enough to be easily seen by the naked eye, they become highly collectible. This coin ticks that box. Another reason collectors prize this coin is because it comes from a modern minting era, where such errors are less frequently found in high-grade condition. With millions of quarters struck each year, most coins pass through the mint's quality checks without major issues, and those with errors that do slip through usually end up worn and damaged in circulation. This quarter, however, has been well preserved. Its surfaces remain clean, and the strike is sharp. The die clash details are distinct but don't overpower the coin's primary design, which remains crisp and clear. This balance between the error and the coin's condition makes it a standout piece. What adds to its allure is that this isn't an error caused by mishandling or damage after the coin left the mint. Die clashes are authentic mint errors, a true window into the coin production process. For collectors, owning a coin like this means holding a piece of minting history, a tangible example of how even high-volume production can produce unexpected outcomes. This coin also shows just how varied error coins can be. While many people think of errors as big off-center strikes or double strikes, there's a wide range of mistakes that can occur during minting. Die clashes may be less flashy, but their rarity and the story they tell give them significant value. For many error collectors, this quarter is a prized find because it combines a modern date, a common mint, and a unique error that's easy to identify. It challenges the notion that only old or silver coins can be valuable, proving that something from recent decades can be just as interesting. The coin also serves as a reminder that quality control at the mint, while stringent, isn't flawless. Even with advanced technology and skilled workers, mistakes like die clashes happen occasionally. And when they do, they create fascinating varieties for collectors to discover and study. Additionally, this coin's value is influenced by the growing interest in modern errors. As new generations of collectors enter the hobby, coins like this 1997 D quarter are gaining attention for their uniqueness and accessibility compared to rarer, older coins. This quarter stands as an example of how attention to detail pays off in numismatics. A casual glance may overlook its rarity, but for those who look closer, it represents a remarkable piece of minting history. It also highlights the importance of understanding coin grading and error identification, skills that can turn an ordinary coin collection into a valuable investment. Collectors often recommend closely examining coins under good light and using magnification to spot such subtle errors. Finding a coin like this can be a thrilling experience, offering both historical insight and financial reward. Given the rarity of such clear die clash errors on a 1997 D quarter, coupled with its excellent preservation, it's no surprise that this coin commands a serious price. After expert evaluation and market consideration, this coin is valued at an impressive $59,000. If you're interested in coins, this piece is a perfect example of how knowledge and observation can unlock hidden value in something as common as a quarter. It's worth taking the time to look closely at your change because you never know what fascinating errors might be waiting. Thank you so much for watching. Your support truly means the world to us and motivates us to keep creating great content. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and join our community. It really helps us grow and keep bringing you more videos. We'd also love to hear your thoughts, so don't forget to leave a comment below. Whether it's feedback, questions, or just a quick hello, your messages make our day. Thanks again for being here, and we can't wait to see you in the next video.